Hello everyone, welcome to my channel DMP Tech. This course will teach you everything you need to start using Git. Whether you are completely new to the version control or have used a Git before but never fully understood it, this tutorial is for you. You will learn all the fundamental concepts and essential commands that you will use daily at work. By the end of this course, you will have a solid grasp of the basic and to be read to develop into the more advanced topic. I am excited to be your instructor here. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe the channel as I upload the new tutorial every week. Now let's dive into and get started with the Git. So what is a Git and why it is so popular? The Git is the most popular version control system nowadays. So let's see the introduction of VCS, that is version control system. Version control system are a tool that helps manage the changes to a code over a time. This system store a project history, allowing a developer to track who made the changes, when, and why. A repository is a special database is used to store this in a history. If something goes wrong, the version control system allows developer to revert to the earlier version of the project easily. So problem without a version control system. Without a version control system, developer would need to manually create a multiple copy of the project, which is inefficient and slow. Collaboration would require sharing the code through email or other method and manually merging a changes. So this approach doesn't scale well, especially when multiple people are working on the same project. Okay, the type of version control system that we have. So we have a two type of version control system. One is centralized version, another one is decentralized system. Okay, so we'll get into what is centralized system. So in the centralized system, all the team members connected to each other in a central server to get the latest code and share to their changes. Example, the subversion is a Microsoft Team Foundation server, like TFS is a example of centralized services. Okay, now we'll move on to distributed version control system. In the distributed system, each developer has their own copy of the project and its history. This means they can continue working and saving a snapshot locally, even if the central server is down. Example is Git and Mercury is the two main example of this. So what is the benefit of this? The no single point of failure. Developer can synchronize with other directly without relying on the central server. However, in the central version, there is a one biggest disadvantage is that the system have a single point of failure. If the server goes down, the collaboration and project snapshot are not possible until the server is restored. Okay, so why Git is so popular? Let's understand that. So it is free, okay, and it is open source, super fast, and it is scalable. Okay, so like branching and merging, which are slow in the other system like SVN or TFS, we can achieve this. Over a 90% of the software project globally use a Git, and making it crucial skill for the software developer. So what is the importance of Git in the job market? The Git is must-have skill for the software developer. It is commonly listed in the job description. To success in the software industry, developer need to be a proficient in Git, understanding how to use it for tracking the project history, collaborating effectively with each other developer. Okay, now using a Git. Way to use a Git. So using a Git on the command line, right? So the command line is the fastest and often the easiest way to interact with the Git. Many developers prefer using it because it allows the quick and efficient execution of the Git command. Why command line? It provides a full control over all the Git features without limitations. It is a highly flexible and can be faster for experienced user. Using a Git on a code editor or IDEs. So if you are not fond of command line, the modern code editor or IDEs like integrated development environment have built-in support for the basic Git features. For example, VS Code. So like it has a source control panel that integrate the Git, providing essential Git functional functions directly within the editor. So like if I show you my Git over here, so if I go to Git, you can see that here it is providing me the Git functionality, right, to manage the work. Okay, so like it is a source control that panel that integrate the Git, providing essential Git functions directly within the editor. So you can install extension in VS Code to bring the additional Git features. Once the most popular is Git Lens, which is enhance the Git functionality by providing a detailed commit history, blame, annotations, and more. Like graphical user interface, okay, for a Git. So GUIs are the tool designed to help the user interface with the Git visually, making it easier to manage repositories without needing to memorizing the command line syntax. Popular Git GTS tools. So basically, the Git, uh, there are many other popular, tools, in GUI that offers the Git features, right? So there are like the source tree, like another well-known GUI that simplifies using a Git in the visual interface. So you can find a list of these tools for a different platform like Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS on the official Git website. Okay, so if you visit the official website, you will get to know everything. Why we will use the command line, the most of the time. While the GUI are the useful, they have a limitations. Typically cover only the most common Git commands. For more advanced operation or the custom workflow, the command line is often necessary. Additionally, the command line is always available, whereas the GUI tool might not be installed and may have a platform specific limitations. Combining the command line with the GUI tool, so you don't often need to choose only the one method. You can use both command line as well as a GUI tool depending on the task. When to use a GUI for a certain task like viewing the project history, managing the merge, GUI might make more sense. So when to use the command line, like for the speed and control, especially the more complex workflow, the command line is often the more efficient. The light-hearted example, if you take in this video, humorously point out the character. So the developer who only use the command line look down the GUI user. So the message here is there is no need to you know enlist about the tool. The key is to use the right tool for the job and flexible enough. So like there's no like some people will use command line, some people will use GUI. So it totally depends on you which option you wanted to opt for. So in my case, mostly I would like to use the command line as well as UI as and when it's required. So there's no any hard rule or the thumb rule that you should only use command line or you should only use UI tool. It's totally dependent on you. Okay. So like let's go on to installing of it. So checking your Git version. So operating like terminal command center on a Mac. If you want to go at Mac, if you're working on the Mac, what we can do is we can press Control plus command plus space to open the Spotlight search and then type a terminal to press enter. For window, click the search icon and the bottom navigation bar and type CMD to open the command prompt. Checking the Git version. So once you have your terminal, like the command prompt open, you can check the installed version of a Git by typing like bash. So for now, I'll show you my bash. So this is my Git bash, okay, over here. So I'm going to use this for my, all the working I will do it over here. Okay, so if I want to take the version, check the version of the Git. So how can I check that? Special, I can just type Git here and I can just dash dash. I'll type version over here. Okay, so you can see I have installed 2.47.1 window 1. So you can install maybe the new, the latest version, whatever available with you. Okay. So the so like this is the latest version that we have. So if you want to install the Git, right? What you can do is you can visit the Git website, that is git-scm.com. Okay. So on the download page, there is an installation instruction for the different operating system like Windows, Mac OS, Linux. The process is simple and shouldn't cause any issues. Okay, it's very easy to download. Now we will, as I said, we will use the git bash for the window user. So it is like I'm using a window. So for me, it will be a git bash. Okay, so that I have opened. So when we install the Git on the window, we will get the application called Git Bash. The Git Bash is essential command line interface that emulates a Unix and a Linux environment on the Windows. So this is the important because the many Git commands and scripts are designed for the Unix-based system, and the Git Bash allow you to run those commands as they would run on the Linux and Mac OS machines. Why the Git Bash? I will recommend using a git bash instead of default command prompt on a Windows. The git bash will make the environment look and behave similarly to the example shown in the course, helping to ensure the compatibility with the git commands that will be demonstrated. Configuration of git, so as I said, we need to do some configuration in the git, right? So setting up our name, right? So first configuration setting we need to do, we need to define our name and email, and these are the used to identify our commands in the git. To set the global name, using the following command. Okay, so what we can do is basically let's do the setup, or let's do the configuration. Okay, so I'll just type git, okay, and then I'll type config over here. Okay, I'll put double dash dash. I'll just type global user dot name. Okay, and then I'll just put my name. Okay, Chandan. Okay, if I put enter, so now this is taken. Now I'll put for email also. So git config, okay, dash dash global user dot email, and I need to put my email over here. Like I can put anything, chandan@gmail.com, something like that. Okay, and then I'll press enter. Okay, so now the enter is pressed. Okay, so Git is need an editor for the situation where we need to write a message. Example for the commit message or merge. So the default editor for the Git on Mac OS is Vim, but it can be intimidating for the new user. So in the course, we will use a Visual Studio Code, okay, VS Code as a default editor. To set up VS Code as a default editor in Git, we can use the following command. Okay, so like as I said, I will going to use the command line as well as VS Code. So in order to set a default editor, what I can do is I can just write git here. Okay, I can just write git config here like this. I'll put global. Okay, I'll put core.editor, and then I'll put just give space here. I'll put code. Okay, and then I'll put dash dash, and I'll put wait. I'll hit enter. Okay, the wait flag tells the Git to wait until you close the VS Code window before continuing. Okay, so that's why we have given a wait command over here. If the VS Code is not recognized, make sure the VS Code is added to our system path. So this allow us to run it from any folder without specifying the full path. Okay, now we'll see editing the configuration file. So what we can do is we can open the configuration file manually and edit the setting. Okay, so how can we do that? Maybe let me write the code for that. So it should be git config dash global -e. Okay, so it is waiting for the editor to close. Okay, so yeah, so now you can see that we got this, in the Visual Studio. So the configuration file contains the section like user with the name and email that we have, the name and email that I have given. Now we have a core with the setting like editor. Okay, setting like editor, and then these are the basic information that we have it over here. Now handling the line editing. So line ending are the different on the various operating systems. So like window use so like basically in the Git, right, what happens over here is if I give you the example, in Windows, like we use carriage return, the CR, right, and plus line feed LF. Okay, so basically this is like the window commands, right? So writing anything, and working on the Git, we need to know like the CR and LF, right? So window always when they are instructing, right? So suppose we are working, we're writing some code, right? And we are writing something code in the one file. And when we are staging that file, so in that case, if you're using a window, it will use the CRLF, that is carriage return and line feed. But if you're working for the Mac and Linux, it will only use LF. Okay. So while storing the data into the centralized repository, the Git has to make sure that if we are using a window, it should use CRLF while saving. Okay. So while saving, so if the window user is instructing to the server or in a staging area, the Git, it will do is it will remove the CR because Mac and Linux will only use LF, and vice versa for Mac and Linux. If the Mac user is saving to the centralized repository, the Git will remove, Git will add the CR. So this is what it is. So line handling, we are calling as a line handling. Okay. If the Git doesn't handle the line handling correctly, it can cause an issue when collaborating across the platform. For example, Ravi using a window and Sam is using a Mac, may run into the problem if the Git doesn't adjust the line ending when they check in or check out the code. To fix this, the Git is provide the code that auto CRLF setting. Okay. So what we can do is window user should set the code dot auto CRLF to true. Automatically, it will convert the line to CRLF and checking out the code and the LF when the committing the code. The Mac and Linux user should set a code that auto CRLF to input to convert the CRLF when committing a code, but leave a line ending unchanged when the checking the code. Okay, so what we can do is let's set up that. Okay, so maybe I can just close this VS window here. Okay, so let me close that. So yeah, so if you see, I have closed it and now it is asking me for the next import. Okay, so since I'm using the window, what I can do is I can just set as a CRLF true. Okay, so git config, okay, dash global core dot auto CRLF. Okay, CRLF, and I'll put it true because I'm a window user. If I'm a Linux or Mac user, what I will do is instead of true, okay, I will just put input over here. Instead of true, I'll put input. Sorry, here. Instead of true, I'll put input. Okay. If I'm a Mac and Linux user, for window, we have to use a true. Okay. So if I summarize what we have learned, so the global configuration, like we set our name and email and editor globally using the git config like global command. Line ending, so this is a core auto CRLF setting. So ensure that the line ending are properly handled, especially when they're working across a different operating system. Editing configuration, so you can manually edit your configuration file using a git config global.e to choose the text editor. So these configurations ensure that the Git works smoothly on our system, that your commits are correctly identified, messages are easy to read, and cross-platform line ending issues are avoided. Okay. Now we will focus on the Git helps command. Okay. So like a Google search. Okay. So one way to learn the more about the Git commands is by searching it on the online. Okay. So nowadays the ChatGPT and the Google Bard, it's very famous. So you don't have to mug up all the codes, for the Git. Maybe you can use the ChatGPT, Google, or you can take a help of Google to find the code, that you want to do. It's just that you should be aware of the situation when to use what. Okay. So we can use a Google like git config to find the official Git documentation. We can also find the official documentation for the command. So this will help to full list of the operation syntax and example of how to command works. Using the terminal, so Git provide the built-in help command that we can access directly from our terminal window. The full help for the command, to view the detailed documentation for any Git command, we can just type git config help. Okay. So here also we can just see the help. So for example, git, we can just write this. We can put config, okay, and we can just dash help. If you put that, like it will take me to the help. Okay, over here. So you can see, you can go through this document. Okay. Now the quick help command, if we only need a brief summary of the command and its options, we can use like a h, like the h command like this. For example, git, okay, config. Instead of help, we'll just put h. So this will give me the summary of what I need. So I need a help for configuration part. That's why I written the git config and h. If you need something other, you will just put that command and you can just type h. You will get the help command over here. Now we will understand the more practical in my next video. So I hope you understand this video. If you like this video, please hit a like button and subscribe to my don't forget to subscribe my channel. It is very important to grow my channel. So thank you so much for your time.